Have you ever noticed that the deeper you think, the fewer people you can share those thoughts with? It's as if clarity doesn't bring connection, it brings distance. The more layers of reality you peel back, the more those around you seem uninterested, uncomfortable, or even hostile. This is not a coincidence. Across history, societies have treated their deepest thinkers not with celebration, but with suspicion. From Socrates being sentenced to death, to Galileo forced into silence, to visionaries like Nikola Tesla ridiculed in their lifetimes, intellectual depth has rarely been met with warmth. But why? Why does the act of thinking deeply, a trait that should elevate humanity, so often lead to alienation? To answer this, we have to look into psychology, evolution, and the hidden mechanics of human society. Imagine this. When you meet someone physically stronger than you might feel admiration. When you see someone wealthier, you may feel envy, but you don't feel personally diminished. But meeting someone with superior intelligence often provokes discomfort. It's not just that they know more, it's that their presence reflects back the limits of our own thinking. Psychologists call this the mirror effect. A deep thinker does not just introduce ideas, they force others to see what they've overlooked, avoided, or denied. And that can sting. It's easier to dismiss the thinker than to confront the uncomfortable truth. Unlike wealth or beauty, intelligence strikes at identity. We are our thoughts, our beliefs, our understanding of the world. That's what we anchor our sense of self on. So when someone questions those foundations, it feels less like a discussion and more like an attack. This explains why people resist, not because the thinker is arrogant, but because intelligence can feel like a threat to who they are. History is full of lonely intellectuals, philosophers, scientists, poets, reformers, all cast as outsiders. Not because they wanted to be alone, but because society pushed them away. Try recalling a moment from your own life. Perhaps you raised a complex question at a gathering, only to be met with blank stares. Maybe you tried to move a conversation beyond gossip or small talk, only for people to quickly change the subject. That awkwardness isn't random, it's a defense mechanism. Human beings protect their worldview like a fortress. When someone presents an idea that rattles the foundation, most will defend, not engage. Instead of curiosity, you're met with dismissal. Instead of dialogue, silence. This is why intellectuals often feel like strangers in their own time. Here's something paradoxical. Studies show that confidence is more socially attractive than intelligence. A person who speaks with certainty, even if their ideas are shallow, gains more influence than a nuanced thinker who carefully weighs their words. This is why charismatic figures often command the spotlight, while thinkers remain in the shadows. Throughout history, simplistic but confident voices, whether politicians, preachers, or influencers, have had more reach than philosophers who asked hard questions. Society prefers comfort over complexity, and deep thinkers are anything but comfortable. Modern neuroscience reveals something fascinating. When people feel intellectually outmatched, their brain reacts as if facing danger. The amygdala, the region responsible for fear, becomes active. Why would intelligence provoke fear? Because for most of human history, survival depended not on individual brilliance, but on belonging to the group. To be cast out meant death. Our brains evolved to value conformity, not radical truth. When a thinker disrupts the harmony of the group by questioning traditions, exposing flaws, or suggesting uncomfortable truths, they're seen less as insightful and more as dangerous. The tribe resists. This explains why thinkers often thrive one-on-one, but struggle in groups. In private, people feel less threatened. In public, where status is at stake, the group instinct kicks in, and the thinker becomes the outsider. Psychologists have identified several cognitive biases that explain why intelligence often meets resistance. The Dunning-Kruger effect. The less people know, the more they overestimate their knowledge. Those who lack understanding often feel most confident, making them dismissive of deeper insights. Status quo, bias. We prefer the familiar, even if it's flawed, over disruptive truths that demand change. The backfire effect. When confronted with evidence against their beliefs, people often double down rather than reconsider. These biases reveal a sad truth. The more a thinker speaks truth, the more resistance they're likely to meet. If this was true in the past, it's amplified today. Social media rewards speed, controversy, and emotional punch, not nuance, patience, or depth. A catchy soundbite will always outperform a carefully reasoned argument. Outrage travels faster than insight. The thinker who tries to compress a lifetime of reflection into a 30-second clip is always at a disadvantage. And so, once again, entertainment triumphs over enlightenment. Arthur Schopenhauer, one of philosophy's most brutally honest voices, believed intelligence was less a blessing and more a burden. He argued that most people live under the will to live, the drive for comfort, pleasure, and survival. But deep thinkers are driven by the will to truth, a compulsion to see reality as it is, even if it hurts. Where most people find meaning in relationships, pleasures, and distractions, the deep thinker often feels disillusioned. To them, what excites the majority appears shallow or fleeting. This creates a disconnect. One group chases comfort, the other chases truth. And truth is rarely comfortable. Schopenhauer put it starkly. The more you understand, the harder it becomes to be happy. For him, ignorance, not wisdom, was the true key to contentment. Thinkers often feel estranged from everyday life for several reasons. They crave depth in a world that favors surface. They see through deception, while most social interaction depends on it. They question desires that others blindly chase: wealth, status, romance. They can't easily join the games of small talk, gossip, or shallow ambition. Their very presence makes others uneasy because it forces people to face truths they'd rather ignore. This explains why some of history's greatest minds, Pascal, Kierkegaard, Kafka, struggled with isolation, melancholy, even despair. But Schopenhauer didn't leave it at despair. He believed deep thinkers could still find meaning, but only if they embraced their difference. His advice? Embrace solitude. Treat it not as punishment, but as a workshop of the mind. Use it to read, create, and reflect. Seek rare minds. Instead of forcing connection with the many, find the few who share your depth. One genuine conversation can be worth 100 shallow ones. Accept the gap. Don't expect society to celebrate deep thought. It rarely does. Instead, carry the truth as both a burden and a gift. So what does all of this mean? If you are someone who thinks deeply, you will likely face resistance. You will confuse some, threaten others, and often walk alone. But that loneliness is not a flaw. It is the price of seeing clearly. The world has always preferred the comfort of illusion over the disruption of truth. And yet, it is precisely those few who dare to think differently who push humanity forward. In the end, every deep thinker must choose: conform for comfort, or pursue truth at the cost of belonging. Neither path is easy, but one path at least is honest. So, if you've ever felt out of place because of your thoughts, remember, you're not broken and you're not alone. You are walking the same difficult path as the thinkers before you. Loneliness is not a punishment. It is a sign that you are seeing the world as it really is. And while most will resist you, a few will understand. And those few are enough. If this reflection spoke to you, consider joining this space of thinkers by subscribing. Your support helps keep these ideas alive, and it connects you with others who value depth over distraction. So, if you want more explorations of philosophy, consciousness, and the human condition, Make sure to like this video, share it with someone who thinks deeply, and subscribe for more reflections that challenge the ordinary.